Breaking news with enormous impact on politics, information, and business. Billionaire Elon Musk is buying Twitter. All of it. The world's richest man has formally secured the funding and the agreement to take this company private, which means he'll control the platform, its rules, and reach. He's buying all outstanding stock, taking the company off the market private. Indeed, he's paying a third or so more than the value of the current company on the street. Total it all up, and it is a bill that very few people or companies could swallow, about a $44 billion deal. Musk tapping investment support to do it. It would become the largest deal to take a company private in at least 2 decades, as the New York Times reports on this breaking story heading into the evening on the East Coast tonight. Musk pulled this off quickly, maneuvering around a once very skeptical Twitter leadership team. He now earned the board's unanimous support today. Elon Musk is already very busy. He's the CEO of Tesla and SpaceX. He has maneuvered around the politics and the governments of multiple countries. He's described himself as something of a libertarian. But when he uses Twitter, as we reported last week, it has often been for strictly corporate and financial gain, not some larger set of ideologies. He's used it for his own marketing. He's used it for his own politics. He's pushed up crypto. He's marketed Tesla that way. He's even gotten slaps on the wrist from regulatory bodies like the SEC for misusing Twitter. He's also taken on the company's policies. You probably know, as a social media platform, Twitter, like Facebook, has been increasingly criticized for putting profits above any type of narrow standards. And when you look at these multi-billion-dollar valuations, no one is saying that these companies should go out of business by being some sort of global goody two-shoes. They're just saying that these companies could spend a little bit to be safer, to find problems more quickly, take them down or prevent them going up, and to try to avoid, tipping elections with Russian influence campaigns or helping incite violence on the 6th. In other words, there are some bright line things they could do that they choose not to do, and a lot of evidence shows they choose not to do it because they make money when everyone's engaged and riled up. They finally banned Donald Trump under pressure over the violence of the 6th, but this is where the Musk part comes in. He has made the big argument to, of course, tens of millions of people in America and perhaps even more around the world who are still pro-Trump and pro-MAGA-style politics that, well, Musk says his interest in Twitter is really just about improving the platform and doing something that could help Donald Trump get back on it, which is focusing more on advancing his view, Musk's view of free speech.
Well, I think it's very important for there to be an inclusive arena for free speech, where all, Twitter has become kind of the de facto town square. It's just really important that people have both the reality and the perception that they are able to speak freely within the bounds of the law.
Fact check, it's complicated. Fact check, true that Twitter is something different than just one more digital space or one more restaurant where you may or may not be able to bring in a big sign. It's more than a private company when it was publicly traded. It will continue to be more than a private company when Musk owns it. So he is right that it is much more than just one more place to talk. It is something of a virtual town square. That's why nuclear power countries care about whether they are banned or not on Twitter, and the former president cared a lot. As for the notions about law and free speech, well, that's the whole point. If you watch The Beat at all, you probably heard us talk about this before. There must be broad and clear protections for free speech. Indeed, that's the law in America. Musk is also right to refer to that. And that means that removing something because you don't like it or you disagree with it or you think it's just mean, those are not good reasons to restrict free speech. But if something is violent, if something is inciting violence, if something is literally and deliberately gathering people to do so, or committing commercial fraud or any other such many criminal or civil law infractions, then no, companies can't and don't and aren't supposed to just let it all out there. Now, it is Elon Musk. Once this is approved, once this is finalized, who will make these decisions. There will be no other stakeholders to really check him. It is a ton of power. So if you're watching tonight and going, cool, okay, Ari, but I'm not on Twitter that much, or Twitter sounds silly, or who cares about a retweet. I hear you. I understand that perspective. But I think if you look at what social media is doing to our lives and to our democracies in other countries, you'll reflect on the fact that this is so much larger than a retweet. So we go, as we often do around here, to the evidence. I'll keep it quick and clear. There are studies that show that while you might be watching me for the news, and thank you, we appreciate it, we try to do a good job, about half of Americans get news from these social media sites, and they think what they're getting, for the most part, is news or true. They certainly don't think it's all just lies. But misinformation spreads so much more here than in other earlier media eras. And misinformation isn't just more popular or twice as popular. Look at what you see on your screen. Take Facebook, which so many people use on a daily basis. It is more than triple, more than quadruple. It is 6 times more popular to spread misinformation, 6 times more clickable than, say, just factual news, according to a key point in time, the 2020 election, when those kind of stories and those kind of pieces of misinformation were literally shaping people's votes. And the power to check misinformation or accounts inciting violence, that has a big impact. Here you see clicks to Trump's story since Inauguration Day have plummeted for many, many reasons. One of them is Donald Trump was forcibly removed from Twitter, which he used, you may recall, to summon people to the January 6th rally, which turned into an insurrection, which he said would be wild. Now, think about that.
He didn't just say the words so much so they'd be channeled through the media, news media, internet media, what have you. If he understands nothing else, he understands his rabid base. And he knew that his tweet going to them, which would spread and allow them to literally connect and plot together, would be more powerful than a TV address, more powerful. In fact, the TV address brings everybody in. He didn't want that. He wanted his people, and he understands to some degree how they would virally interact around that tweet. And boy, they did. That may be why some of his loudest, most influential allies aren't threatened by Twitter as some sort of media competition. No, they are excited that Musk buying Twitter could get Donald Trump back on the platform. It's not an overstatement to say it could be the single most important development for free speech in the modern history of the United States.
The 5 people at this table all are fans of Elon Musk. I don't think that I overstate
all of us are.
that.
I am. This is a guy who's made a lot of money. He's been very successful. Loves this country and the freedoms it affords.
He's our Edison. This is our Thomas Edison. This is our Da Vinci of our generation.
Okay. Just take a breath and fall back for a second on that. But the point is, people who work with this stuff, they understand how important this is. I'm not telling you you need a Twitter account. I'm not telling you you have to jump in the ocean to study whether the ocean levels are rising. I'm just telling you this thing matters a ton. The world's richest person, who is very good at accumulating wealth and power, thinks this is worth spending tens of billions of dollars on because, frankly, he thinks it's that valuable and he thinks it may help him. Trump, by the way, today is claiming he won't even return to Twitter if the ban were lifted, but few take what Donald Trump says seriously on that score. So what is happening here? This is far bigger than Trump or Elon Musk. Symptoms of the world we're living in, where technology has outpaced any of our ability to deal with it. That's true whether you're a parent trying to figure out what you can and can't let your kids do at various ages. It's true if you are a democracy like the United States that used to regulate media ownership and say Rupert Murdoch can't have too many local TV stations and newspapers in one town. They have laws for that are still in the books, but the Congress hasn't gotten around to limiting whether someone can own all of Twitter. And as we discussed in one of our special reports just last week, if you own all of Twitter or Facebook or what have you, you don't have to explain yourself. You don't even have to be transparent. You could secretly ban one party's candidate or all of its candidates all of its nominees, or you could just secretly turn down the reach of their stuff and turn up the reach of something else, and the rest of us might not even find out about it till after the election. Elon Musk says this is all to help people because he is just a free speech, philosophically clear, open-minded helper, a world helper, if you will. Is that true? Should you take him at his word? Should you care about this, whether you have a Twitter account or not? This is important stuff, and we're going to bring in two experts on it. Obama campaign veteran Che Komanduri and the New York Times' Lauren Hirsch. When we're back with Che Komanduri and the New York Times' Lauren Hirsch. She's been covering this acquisition of Twitter quite closely. Walk us through what it means when Elon Musk takes this company private.
I think this is a deal that we have never seen anything like before, so we will soon find out. What this means is, kind of in technical terms, it's no longer a publicly traded company. And so, as you said in the lead-in, Elon Musk can effectively operate this as he pleases. He has indicated that he's not going to run it for profit, which is interesting and important because when you're thinking about content moderation and what's on your platform, a lot of companies are cognizant of advertisers and potentially the risk of scaring them away. And so if there's not, advertisers are not the focus, you might potentially have a different approach to content moderation and what you allow on the platform.
And Lauren, do you think it's possible that he might make some claims like that, but then still operate as an effective billionaire who has been pretty good with profit in the past?
It's a great point. I will say the deal was announced this morning. I spent the day on the phone trying to understand what the business model is, what the plan is here. I haven't actually gotten a great answer. There might be a really convincing slide deck somewhere. I haven't seen it. I am not really sure what I'm honestly just not, as I said, there might be a great plan. I haven't seen it. And so this whole thing came together super quickly. And what I don't know if this is something that a very rich man who thought he could run Twitter better just decided to do, or if there was a full thought out plan to make money and improve it. That's really, unclear still.
Che?
Yeah, when Elon Musk says, he is not running Twitter for profit, do not believe him. Everything Elon Musk does is about profit. You don't become the world's richest man by thinking like John Stuart Mill. You become the world's richest man by thinking about yourself. And that is exactly what Elon Musk has done. And let me sort of push back on this idea that he's this principled libertarian. I mean, very recently, Greg Abbott in Texas passed a very restrictive reproductive rights bill. Elon Musk said, hey, I don't want to be involved in politics. Oh, really? This is interesting. Now you don't want to be involved in politics? He said he wanted to be involved in politics with anything that has anything to do with him or his company. But Elon Musk functionally is a libertarian for himself, but he was more than happy in Texas to be a theocrat for his female employees. This is not about libertarian principle in any way. This is about more money for Elon Musk.
I think it's an interesting example, Jay, when you go to human rights, women's rights, and when someone says selectively what they want to be involved with, quote, that's just politics to him. I'm also curious what you think about the leverage he'll have over politicians. I mentioned this in the setup. People like Putin and Trump and Biden, the one thing they have in common is nowadays they have to care about social media. It's part of becoming a head of state in many places, and it's part of maintaining power. What does it mean for him to have this type of leverage? Whether he chooses to use it corruptly or not is not our place to say yet. We have to wait and see what happens.
Well, look, the thing is, if Elon Musk decided, hey, I want to be about free speech, and he decided to fund some academic journal where Trump and the GOP could publish peer-reviewed research, that would be fine. I don't think anybody would have a problem with that. Twitter is not that. Twitter is not a journal of ideas. What Twitter is a catalog of emotion. And Trump used Twitter very successfully to become president and to manipulate the media. They will be able to do so again. A party where outrage culture and conspiracy theories have been mainstream, which we've talked about at length here on The Beat and throughout the media and the culture, a party like that has an advantage on Twitter. Elon Musk knows that. He also knows that, he has timed this for right when Truth Social, it's very clear that thing is not going to happen.
Yeah, the Trump platform. With about 30 seconds, Lauren, what's next here in the process?
There's a long road ahead. One of the big things I'm trying to figure out is whether or not there's a breakup fee and the size of that. And that's really important because the deal was announced today. That doesn't mean the deal has been approved. It doesn't mean the deal is closed. It doesn't mean the deal is going to happen. There's a lot of uncertainty still. And so I think everyone, might want to take a beat and realize that there's still questions to be answered in terms of whether or not this deal even ultimately gets to the full finish line.
Lauren, we always try to take a beat around here.
There you go.
Sorry. Lauren Hirsch, Che Komanduri, thanks to both of you for perspective on this. A big story. Coming up in the program, we have a